guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
I don't think there's any doubt. Kirk's played a lot of games, been in a lot of key situations, and made some plays. You know, the knock on Kirk is probably the big games. He's had trouble in the big games, but I think the supporting cast that he has now in Minnesota, the support that he has from his head coach, his offensive coordinator, his quarterback coach, is a perfect fit. Now, if they can continue to play decent defense, then sure they got a chance. They got the best receiving core, maybe the best receiver in pro football. They got one of the top backs in pro football, and Kirk's playing efficiently. And that's what you need.
Jay Gruden making a little appearance on ESPN Radio with Canty and Carlin, saying that, yes, the Vikings can win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins, gentlemen. Yes. This is Mackey and Judd. Welcome into the show. Daily Minnesota sports, entertainment, therapy, speculation, whatever you need from us. And boys, it's hard to find a bigger Vikings fan than our guy Randy in Cottage Grove. He is Randy Vikes 69 on Twitter. He has correctly predicted multiple Vikings draft picks throughout the years on our show. Randy, what's going on with you, man?
Doing great. Several weeks back, I told you guys you better get used to this feeling, and we're going to rattle off a few now. What is it? A 7?
Yep.
We have to 7 now, Judd. 7 straight wins.
Yep.
7 straight wins.
Old Randy was so you see the writing on the wall with the team and the way they play and the makeup, their makeup and their moxie, and this is it's offensive. I don't gamble on sports, but it's offensive that we're not favored against Dallas.
Yeah, what's Dallas now? Like a 2? Is it 2-point favorites?
It was. They opened as 2
road favorites.
Yeah, it's BS.
It's offensive. That's offensive.
Yeah,
You got to hammer if you gamble. If you're in Vegas, hammer the Vikes.
I'm surprised you're not a gambling man, Randy. You seem like a gambling man.
I don't gamble. I don't do fantasy. When you actually like to look at tape and break it down, it's a lot more fun to just kind of know you were right and have the moral victory. Plus, several years ago, I got into some trouble with it.
Yeah.
That you buried the lead there.
I figured this is where this was going. What happened?
I was just some wagering and some good, as they say. I got it in good, as they like to say, and then it didn't work out. It didn't work out several times, and the choice was if you want to have a clean, want to have a vehicle, or want to have some wins in the Vegas, and then the answer proved out to be a vehicle.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes you reach those crossroads, those key forks in the road in life, and you have to make a decision. What was your experience like, just kind of watching that game before we get to the stable here, Randy? Just so many backs and forths. It looked like the Vikings. The Vikings miss on the fourth down quarterback sneak, and it kind of felt like the game was. I mean, the Buffalo Bills Twitter account, in all caps, put fourth down stop, game over, with a big picture before Josh Allen had the fumble disaster. What was your experience sort of taking in that game?
Yeah, I guess not. Guess not. Buffalo Twitter account. But I would say we watch at the bar, right, as we do most weeks, and as I've said, this year's been a good year as far as like touchdown shots, sack shots, getting a real good head of steam going. But when you're down, 24-10 at the half, 27-10 in the third, it was getting a little rowdy in a bad way. A lot of people were antsy. A lot of people were saying we're better than this, and we all at the bar did what the guys did. We looked inside ourselves and said we're not going to. These shots aren't going to be given to us free. We're going to buy them and rip them and go. And we did, and we got on top of a good buzz, and they got on top of the Bills. And as soon as that goal. First of all, we got jobbed multiple times by refs. Like to say, they're letting them play. They're letting the Bills play, tugging on JJ, and Davis has his balls are all over the ground, bouncing everywhere.
It's one thing to let him play. It's another thing to let him play with 12 guys on the field for one of those plays too. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You a lot of people like you guys like some of you guys like the WWE.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's I don't know if you know, but that's scripted.
Okay. Spoiler alert. Okay. Easy guy.
No, it's real.
Okay.
You're scripted.
Well, sometimes a lot of people think that the NFL has agendas. We'll just say that maybe for them having a Bills team at 7-2 was a little more important than a Vikes team at 8-1, and they like to kind of set things up. Well, I got news for you, NFL. We got an agenda. We got an agenda to win a title. We got an agenda to put the league on notice. And right now, Philly, we're going to be the number 1 seed. I'll tell you that right now. Philly just lost to a crap team that we blew out, and I'll tell you this: they're going to play Dallas again. They're going to play the Giants again, and we play a bunch of zeros, bunch of no talent teams. Green Bay's got new life.
Well, the Vikings also play the Giants and Dallas coming up. So
This is
other
very
than
dangerous,
those
Randy.
two teams you just listed, but
we're going to kick their ass. We're going to kick their ass.
Boy,
We're going to be the number 1 seed. And we were snug at the bar. We're snug all week, and we're going to beat Dallas by a bunch. And this is a great with a game like that. I can't do just 3 in the stable. So buckle up.
wow.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then let's get to it here. And before we get to the stable, we should welcome in a new partner into Mackey and Judd here. It seems awfully fitting.
Yeah.
Lake Ridge Liquors. Welcome to the Mackey and Judd show in Score North, Dex.
Where are they located?
I'll tell you, Randy. They're right off 694 in Rice Street. You know, are you familiar with the northern eastern suburbs there?
Yeah, more
Badness Heights?
down 61 way, but if I can get a ride there, I'll check it out.
Sure. I'll pick you up. And the best thing is, Randy, they actually have a reward system. You know, as someone who frequents the liquor store like you and I do a lot, it's nice to have a little bit of a reward system, right? And if you mention Score North when you sign up for their reward program, they will spot you $5 in rewards for your next visit. They have Before I Die there. They have over 1,000 wines in stock. It's Lake Ridge Liquors off 694 in Rice Street, a new sponsor of Mackey and Judd and Score North. Go check out Lake Ridge Liquors off 694 in Rice Street in Vadnais Heights.
I think it's the official sponsor now of those sack shots whenever Daniil and Zedarius get home on Sundays. If they got Yag over at Lakewood Liquors, I'll be there.
Lake Ridge.
Lake Ridge.
Lake Ridge.
If they got Yag, I will make a stop.
I'm sure they have.
We can verify,
Great
but
babes.
very likely that they do. Yes.
Okay, thank you to Lake Ridge, and let's go.
Okay. All right. Well, this is the stud stable here. Randy Vikes 69, an 8-1 stud stable from you. Go ahead, you fire away. Wow.
This is week 9. And it's 8-1, and that's because we won 7 in a row. And this was the most definitive signature win yet. This is a signature win, and Kirko was great, and a lot of people were great, but they're not even going to make this stable. If you can believe that, and it's packed. It is packed, and we're going to start right now with a guy who, coming into the game, I think a lot of people said, where is he going to fit in this offense? Well, I got news for you. He's right back where he belongs, and that's number 4, Delvin Cook. Delvin, you changed that game. You took that game from the jaws of defeat, as they say, and you put the pedal down and you said, we ain't done. We are not done. We all got shots when you scampered, and that was a great run, too. That's the kind of run. That's vintage Delvin Cook. And Delvin, you're a stud. On the defensive side of the ball, this guy is a little long in the tooth maybe, but he can still ball out, as they say. And this day, he got the best of Stephon Diggs on a couple of big-time plays, including one where Diggs is looking for the flag. You're going to let them play. You're going to tug on JJ. We're going to bust your ass. And Harrison Smith, 2-2, you went in there, deuces, and said deuces to you, Stephon. Harrison Smith, you're a stud.
Stud. I love it.
Sticking on the defense for another guy who battled his ass off. He battled his ass off. He got hurt and came back in that game and said, I ain't going to let us lose. I'm going to will us to victory. And this is a guy right now who has been in this stable a lot of times. And this week, he's back in it because Zedarius Smith, you're a stud.
Yes, it's hilarious.
Loves hilarious.
Let's get
Hilarious.
it.
Way to go.
Let's go.
Coming up now, one more stud from the D, and this is Eric Kendricks. Eric, when that fumble hit the ground, oh my God, everyone at the bar lost it. We completely lost it, and we said, get on it. Get on it. And so was Pat P was pointing at it, and you got it. You went right on it, and it was a touchdown. We got a shot for that. And Eric, you kept us in that game. You turned an absolute historic chance for us to make history, and we did. And Eric Kendricks, you're a stud.
Stud.
And there's two more guys, and we'll go now to the super stud. The super stud, I don't know how it's tough to not give him the super duper stud, but the guy coming up, sorry, this is how it works. This guy was on the plane with his shirt off. He's got what they call an 8-pack. He's looking real sharp, looking
strapped.
Better than I looked when I was in my prime.
Definitely strapped.
He's strapped, Randy, is what they say.
They say yoked. And this is P2. Patrick Peterson, you can go ahead and play another 10 years as far as I'm concerned. Let's keep it rocking. P2, we love you here. We're never going to kick you to the curb like Arizona. And P2, you're a super stud. And finally, here's a guy who I don't care what, when it's time to pay his ass, you better back up the truck. You better back up 2 or 3 trucks because he's going to be worth every penny. This is a guy who I don't care if it's old Randy or Jeff under center. Anyone could throw to this guy, and he's going to come down with the ball. This is Jay Jettas. They call him the Jettas, and Justin Jefferson. You deserve this spot because you are a super duper stud. 8-1 score.
And poof.
There he goes.
Wow. And he's gone.
And he's gone.
Yes.
That was a very coherent list for a guy who 2 days ago was probably obliterated by the end of that game.
My God.
Enough points.
I'm guessing that his friends had to explain what happened to him at the end of that game,
That's
right?
That
was what he was talking about there was just sort of referenced back to him after he woke up from whatever slumber.
I wonder if he could comprehend the Kendricks recovery for a touchdown in the end zone.
I barely could, and I hadn't had anything to drink.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I think when you're doing the shots.
That's the stud stable from Randy and Cottage Grove. Randy Vikes 69. So Zalarius Smith, otherwise known as Zadarius Smith, now has a 10 pressure lead among all edge rushers. He has 55 pressures this season. The next closest, so in fairness, Nick Bosa, he missed a game, has played 1 fewer game. But Nick Bosa is 10 pressures behind Zadarius Smith. And then there's a big list of like Matthew Judon, Myles Garrett, Brian Burns, etc. Danielle Hunter is 10th, tied for 10th in pressures. But, man, for all the questions early in the season about the Vikings just don't get a lot of pressure. What's up with this? What's up with this system, Ed? Where's all you got Zadarius over here, Daniil over there. Why can't you generate pressure? And they now have, I would say, the best. I think statistically, it is the best pass rushing among edge rushers tandem in the NFL so far this year. Pretty incredible.
I still was a little bit concerned at times against the Bills. There were still some times I was like, Ed, what are you doing?
But isn't part of that like what the Bills do? Not to like exonerate because they did give up a lot of yards, but Josh Allen is almost impossible to sack for one because he's so big and he's like young Ben Roethlisberger, but he's probably even more mobile. True. And he just, how many times did the Vikings have something dialed up where there's 2 rushers coming free and Josh Allen just scoots out to the right and keeps a play? He doesn't look like he should be as mobile as he is when you just look at him. So I don't know, not to exonerate because they definitely do give up too many yards, but I think Josh Allen just kind of does that to everybody, doesn't he?
And that guy is a hoss, man. Whew. That guy.
A hoss.
He's
hoss
a hoss.
Hoss is a great term to describe a big guy.
But I mean, he is a hoss. He's like the definition of it. Because when he takes off, you ain't gonna bring him down.
A hoss. Just for the record, Josh Allen was pressured on 42% of his dropbacks.
Wow.
And he was 9 of 14 for 104 yards, no touchdowns. He did throw 1 interception when pressured in that game. The Vikings only blitzed on 24% of Josh Allen dropbacks. He was 8 of 11 when blitzed for 79 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. It's tough to know what to do because if you send too many guys, then he'll just keep a play alive, and now there's just single coverage all over the field with guys like Stephon Diggs. And You're not going to make a living single covering Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis for 3 hours, unfortunately. So you got to be careful sending too many guys. But
especially when Gabe gets all that help on catches that aren't catches.
yeah, exactly. Well, where are you kind of at with this bend but don't break Donna Shell defense then?
So I'm nervous because it seems to me like there would probably be ways, especially in a playoff game, to exploit it. I do like the pressure. So I think statistically, if you go back up until the Dolphins game, they were not getting sufficient pressure. So I was much more skeptical of the entire system at that point. Starting with the Dolphins game before the bye week, they definitely dialed up pressure. So I'm less skeptical now. But I think if I was to use one word to describe the Donna Shell scheme, it would be this: nervous. It makes me nervous. It feels like they're always on the edge of, bend but don't break sometimes means the pressure will eventually break the dam. So I can't say I'm completely confident. There are some players who are playing very well, though. I will say that.
Well, here's a number that kind of validates what you're talking about here. The Vikings defense is 30th in the NFL. Well, there's 3 teams tied for 28th. So they're 28th in the NFL in yards per play allowed. They are allowing 6 yards per play. The only 2 defenses that are worse from a yardage per play perspective are the Falcons and the Lions. So 6 yards per play. The best defenses are the Eagles and Broncos at 4.5 yards per play. So that adds up over the course of a game, obviously. But from a scoring perspective, the Vikings were actually like 12th, I think, going into last week. Giving up 30 to the Bills is going to bring them back to 14th. So the scoring, they're top half of the league, kind of on the fringes of the top 10 a little bit there. But the yardage, they are one of the worst yardage defenses in the league so far this year.
I know the Vikings have played to a lot of backup quarterbacks. They almost had to play another one in Case Keenum last week before Josh Allen was honestly fine. The dude was still balling on Sunday with a quote-unquote sprained UCL. But here's the quarterbacks the Vikings will face the rest of the way. So they'll have Dak on Sunday, who's a good quarterback. But after that, Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi for New England, Zach Wilson for the Jets, Jared Goff for the Lions, Matt Ryan of the Colts, Daniel Jones of the Giants, who's looking a little bit better, but nothing to be afraid of. You will have to play Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay on New Year's Day. All right, we'll still credit up to Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers, and then you finish the year against Justin Fields. But you're going to have a run here for the next basically 5 of 7 weeks against below average quarterbacks, which, again, I know some of them have diced you up a little bit still a few times this year, but that's pretty encouraging. I'm not sweating things as much as I am from a defensive side when I even see the quarterbacks that they're lining up against.
I'm thinking big picture, though, here, boys. I'm thinking playoff games. I'm extrapolating what I'm seeing to say in a 1-game playoff where if you lose, you go home. Does the bend but don't break, does that work? And how can it be
forcing turnovers? Those don't always happen.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you can find ways, I mean, the one thing that when we get to the playoffs, these guys will do coaching wise nothing but spend all day watching film and going after guys. And so that's the one thing, like what is a minor problem in week 8 can become a massive problem in the playoffs. And so that's where I'm curious if they can, I guess the word is stabilize things a bit, because it's not going to be perfect and it can't be, but can you stabilize it a little bit more?
The Giants kind of profile the same way. So the Giants they're 5.8 yards per play allowed on defense, and they are still winning a bunch of games. So ultimately at the end of the day, and we said this when O'Connell was hired in January, and we said it before the season, offense is going to have to lead this thing.
Yep.
You're not. This isn't like 2017 where your defense is going to pitch a near shutout, or some of the other teams like the Russell Wilson Seahawks team that was really just defense, the Legion of Boom. Right. This is going to have to be Vikings are going to put up 30, and they're not averaging that yet. They're averaging 25, but there might be another gear. I think there's another gear to the offense. I think the defense. I'm not going to say there isn't another gear, because do I think they're like the 28th ranked defense yardage wise at the end of the day with all these skills all over the place? No. But the offense is going to have to post 28 or 30 in a playoff game at home, and the defense is just going to have to do what you can. Force a turnover if you can, right?
And we also learned on Sunday one thing, too, that and to the Vikings' credit, in the fourth quarter, they went back to this. But, Jefferson had the great first half. Third quarter, I think they definitely didn't throw to him as much, and it went to, the Bills have decided they're going to shut him down. And somebody wisely said, no, you know what? We will lose if that is they've shut him down. And they went back to him. Kirk can throw some picks there. There's certainly some dicey plays, but I really believe in a playoff game, if you say, oh man, because every team now is going to say 18 ain't going to beat us. So if you say in a playoff game, yeah, you know what? We got that. He's done. You're going to lose that game. So that's the thing is these are going to be nail biting experiences, but you're going to have to find ways to counter. And I love the fact on Sunday that in a tough environment, the Vikings came back and said, Justin Jefferson has to play a role here. We can't just say he's done. And he makes one of the most incredible catches in franchise history, if not the most incredible.
Yep. By the way, that Vikings discussion after the Randy and Cottage Grove stud stable was presented by our friends at Federated. Federated's been around for over 100 years, helping business owners like a great offensive line, protecting a quarterback. And you can find out all kinds more information about their history, the way that they go about business. They're all about building relationships. They really measure the success of their business by the success of your business. Federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. Mackey and Judd. And it's a Tuesday, which means usually we have a pecking order of some kind because we like to rank things on the show. Mm-hmm. And with that Justin Jefferson catch, just one hand ripping the ball away from two hands of a Buffalo Bills defender, it really was one of the more exciting regular season moments in Vikings history. It had people talking about, was it up there with the Greg Lewis catch? It was a 4th and 18. The game is pretty much over if you don't catch that pass. And so Judd has gone into his historical cave the last 24 hours.
YouTube rabbit hole last night, gentlemen. YouTube rabbit hole.
You have a pecking order for us, so the floor is yours. How are we classifying this pecking order?
Okay, this is Judd's top 10 most memorable regular season plays by the Vikings. It dates to the first year that I started to follow this team. I think it was 44 years ago now, 1978. In other words, no playoff games. Because I think if we get into playoff plays, it gets dicey. Because clearly, the Diggs catch is one. So I eliminated playoff plays. And to be clear, this is most memorable. So the Jefferson catch is the most difficult and is high on this list, but it doesn't necessarily land as the most memorable because often those are touchdowns, okay? And this is very subjective, so if you disagree, go ahead and disagree.
If you disagree, hammer Judd on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's at
if you
Jay
disagree,
Zolgin.
you're wrong, and you're wrong, and I'm right. Anyway, all right. Let's start with number 10. I want to throw the defense a little bit of love, okay? They are clearly going to get one. But I want to throw them a little bit of love and go with again, memorable play in the regular season. Number 10, October 7th, 2018, when Linval Joseph returns a Carson Wentz fumble, 64 yards for a touchdown. Vikings win 23-21, and it leads to the great meme of Joseph with sunglasses on and taking air from an oxygen tank, which we found out didn't have air circulating through it.
Why? Was it not plugged in?
I guess it was not plugged in. But that play to this day stands out. So I gave that play a little bit of love. Number 10.
A big guy touchdown. Yeah, you got to put a big guy touchdown.
And he's just rumbling to the end zone.
Haas.
Yeah, exactly.
Touchdown.
Yeah. Yes,
Haas
exactly.
Touchdown.
Big
Big Haas touchdown.
Number 9 on my list occurred October 5th of 1998. Randy Moss's 44-yard touchdown in particular. Remember, I'm choosing plays, not games. So I had to go watch highlights and pick the most memorable of Moss's 2 touchdowns in his breakout game as a rookie against the Packers at Lambeau Field. His 44-yard touchdown grab that came on a pass from Randall Cunningham comes after he literally takes the ball from the defender. Now, it wasn't Jefferson-like because he wasn't going backwards. He was going, so it wasn't as hard. But it's his second score of a game that the Vikings won 37-24. And I had forgotten until I watched the condensed highlights of that game that the Green Bay Packers, that was their first loss at Lambeau in 29 games, including 25 regular season games.
Wow.
They hadn't lost since 1995, according to Al
That's
Michaels.
insane.
So
that was
game,
definitely the peak of Lambeau Field's powers, right? Like the mid to
sir.
late 90s period. Yeah.
Incredible. That is number 9, so we're getting good here. Number 8, September 13th, regular season opener of 2009, what turned into a magical year until it wasn't. Adrian Peterson, and this is a Peterson rabbit hole. I could have picked 5 runs, 8 runs, 10 runs. I mean, when you go through his runs, you forget in his prime how strong and impressive he was. But he had a 64-yard touchdown run on opening day, Favre's first game, 2009 in Cleveland, where he is breaking away. He gets held up by a Browns defender. He stops and stiff arms not one but 2 guys, basically throws them off him backwards. And that is his 3rd rushing touchdown of the day in a 34-20 win. And again, I could have picked any number of Peterson runs. I tried to keep it to 1.
That play was insane because he basically, like you said, he stopped in the middle of the run to hand fight Browns defenders. And he just chucked one off to the side, threw another one into the bench or whatever, and then just ran the rest of the way for a touchdown. Just insane.
Yes, and he also had the one, it wasn't as great a run, but the one where he plants his foot the same season on a Steelers safety and uses him to launch himself and keep going. But anyway, this one was great speed, great strength.
That Steelers one, it was a pass. It was like a dump off pass over the middle, like a wheel route.
Yes.
And he turns around, and it reminded me of that Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark, where the guy gets, or maybe it was no, it was Raiders of the Lost Ark, where one of the guys gets run over by one of the military vehicles, and all you see is like his limbs are just like like that poor safety.
He's like, what happened? All right, number 7. 1998 again, but this time November 26th, Thanksgiving Day in Dallas. Again, Moss had 3 touchdowns in that game, but I wanted to pick one of those 3. And his 3rd touchdown was actually the only one that was not a deep pass, but it was more impressive. It's a relatively short pass. He breaks a tackle and then outraces everyone down the sideline. A 56-yard score, 46-36, Vikings win. But it showed the versatility of Moss, the absolute versatility. Because, I mean, he caught a lot of deep touchdowns. And for the most part, he's breaking away from guys. Mm-hmm. Nice throw, nice catches, but they're pretty much from the Moss highlight film. This one was relatively short pass, breaks tackle, and just takes off. Showed his strength, his speed. And, I mean, this guy in the open field was a complete nightmare. So that's number 7.
And then John Madden spent 3 hours just salivating over all of the plays and just the turducken and telestrators and everything.
You forget, like, the highlights of that year for a rookie. You forget how special that guy was.
Yeah, he was insane. I don't think anyone's forgotten how special Randy Moss was, though.
But I mean, that year, it's just like this guy because he's changing the game, and you're like, this is really special. But it's hard to like contextualize at that time. He's changing the game, like he's changing how philosophies go. So that's number 7.
Yep.
Number 6 starts to get good here. It starts to get even more dicey, more intriguing in my top 10 most memorable regular season plays by the Vikings. September 26th of 1993, Minneapolis at the Metrodome. This is memorable. It's not a great catch, but it's memorable. Eric Gulliford, out of nowhere, catches a 45-yard pass from Jim McMahon against Green Bay that puts the ball deep in Packers territory. 6 seconds left, and Phil Mackey's guy, Fuad Reveiz, comes on and kicks his 5th field goal of the game to win it. But that's the play where there was like speculation. Did Gulliford come off the sideline? Where the heck did that come from? It's one of those really weird plays. And it's not as if Eric Gulliford had an illustrious career here, but that is one of the more memorable catches and plays in itself from the Vikings in the 90s.
Was that a trick play, or was he just standing off to the
Got behind the
edge
defense.
of the?
Like
no
he
one
was on the
covered him,
sideline.
right?
No, it's really bizarre. Go back and watch it. It's really, really bizarre.
He's just breaking wide open down the right side, and those are some interesting. Every year the Vikings had a new quarterback in there too. It was like Salisbury one year, and then Jim McMahon, and then they got Warren Moon in 1994. That was the early to mid 90s were a weird hodgepodge era of Viking football.
Denny, man, he's just juggling.
Yeah,
and he had Gannon and didn't like him.
Like then Gannon became one of the best quarterbacks in the league like 5 or 6 years later.
Absolutely.
So we're halfway through Judd's pecking order here. I think it's time to light a victory candle in honor of the 8-1 Minnesota Vikings. Now, where would we do that potentially?
Let's see. Where would we do that? Number one on my list of candles. If I was to do a pecking order of candles, I would say number one on that list easily is, my friends, at Spiral Light Candles. And yes, as Phil said, so if you're saying Victory Candle, that's intriguing because I am a Vikings fan. The Purple Positivity, Judd's Purple Positivity Candle exists. It smells great. It's really cool. And you know what? It can calm you down. Like, let's say there's a moment of crisis. The Vikings get stopped on the goal line, and now you're pacing around, and you're like, you know what I would like right now? I'd like some aromatherapy from a candle. Spiral Light Candles is here to provide that. The other great thing, too, is that, guess what? SpiralLightCandles.com offers you an entire array of great gifts, great holiday presents. SpiralLightCandles.com. Guys, I'm telling you right now, your mom, your wife, whatever, will absolutely love it. And one favorite ask, if you do contact them, SpiralLightCandles.com, please tell them Purple Daily told you about them, because our sponsors keep track of things by hearing our name. So Mackey and Judd, PD, just say, I heard it there. SpiralLightCandles.com, though, is the place to go.
Boom. All right, back to we're into the top 5 most memorable regular season Vikings plays.
Okay, I cheated a little bit here because I got done with my list, and I'm like, Judd. You don't have a Chris Carter catch. You got to have a Chris Carter catch. And so I went again to YouTube, and I went through a litany, and there's, like Peterson, there's just a ton of great plays. Like, the guy made a ton of great plays. But I wanted to pick one, and I found one in particular that I had long forgotten about, but my God, is it special. September 8th, 1991, in his second year here. So he got picked up off waivers from the Eagles in 1990. Chris Carter makes a one-handed catch on a 39-yard pass from Wade Wilson in what turned into a 20-19 Vikings win in Atlanta. Now, the catch is made with a defender on him. So Carter is falling. The guy is covering him. He catches the ball he leaps, catches the ball with one hand, hauls it in at like the 1, and keeps the momentum going to roll into the end zone for a touchdown. I urge you to watch it, but I mean, this is the quintessential Chris Carter in his sort of prime catch. It is outstanding, and it was my firm belief that at least one, if not more, Chris Carter catches, boys, had to be on this list. So that checks in at Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta as number 5.
Okay, yeah, it's hard to remember like a game winning. I mean, he also had a bunch of just touchdown catches that probably altered games, but they were. Chris Carter was more just a steady beat of amazing consistency and one-handed catches for 10 years. He never really had like the Moss Thanksgiving game, or I mean, he had one-handed catches. I don't know if he had any like Jefferson. So, but it is kind of hard to think about, like, what's the one thing that stands out for him? I don't know. He was just like that kind of every game for the 90s, you know?
His hands were special. That man had special hands.
He really did have special hands.
All right, that's number 5. Number 4. So we're getting into the meat of the good stuff here. Number 4 is, well, it's a catch, but it's not the catch that made the play. October 18th, 2003, Metrodome, Denver Broncos in town. Randy Moss, late first half, catches a really nice, deep, late pass from Dante Culpepper, but he's being tackled. Oh my goodness, half's going to end. What shall he do? He, of course, does the behind the back over the shoulder flip. Mo catches the ball from the flip and goes in for a touchdown to end the first half in what ended up being a 28-20 win. So it's Culpepper to Moss to Williams that makes this play. And I think it's safe to say that among memorable regular season plays, this will qualify for a long time that everyone recalls it.
That play was just crazy.
Yeah.
Like who even thinks to do that, right? He's being tackled and just kind of instinctually flings the ball over his shoulder. And then if you watch on that play too, so Mo Williams was the running back, right?
Yeah.
Mo Williams continuing on that play, like he didn't have to be down there doing that. If you watch his route kind of from the right side of the field all the way diagonally across and he's following, and it was instinctual for both those guys. Yeah, crazy play.
True or not, he did claim afterwards that they practiced it.
Okay.
So like
I believe it.
He claimed it was not a fluke type of play, that they had actually worked on that play at practice. And so he ran the route through because of the opportunity or the potential opportunity that existed.
Okay.
We're to the top three now. Controversy reigns. Controversy can reign. But again, remember, it's the most memorable plays that stand out too. So it's not degree of difficulty. That's very important. Because degree of difficulty would have been hard to do. Now, I'm saying the Jefferson catch is the most difficult catch I've seen. But I can't prove that necessarily through going through clips. So, number 3 on my list, that's a long-winded way of saying, is Justin Jefferson's catch.
Okay.
On 4th and 18.
Wow.
The situation, the difficulty, I'm pretty certain we will be talking about that catch in 10 years. And I'm pretty certain that it's going to end up being the defining catch of his career because, Phil, to your point, like we talk about Carter continually, but I don't know that we ever and we talk about his degree of catches, but I don't know to what you said that there's one catch that stands out. Like I found one in retrospect, but we don't talk about that catch, and I actually had to go onto YouTube to find it. So I think that the Jefferson catch on 4th and 18 will be a defining catch. So I put that 3, which might be low, but
I think there is a fighting chance. You're saying this will be the defining catch of his career.
yes.
I think it'll be a defining catch of his career. I think there might be a Super Bowl catch at some point. I'm not saying that the degree of difficulty is going to be the same, but
I hear you.
could I see him catching a pass in the 4th quarter of a Super Bowl in the back of the end zone or something? Like there's a lot of career left for him to do damage in the playoffs, and anything done in the playoffs is going to be elevated even more.
Very fair. Very fair.
I noticed that this is a regular season list.
Yes, only. There's no playoffs.
I don't know that there would be many playoff plays to even add to this list, unfortunately, in our lives. You'd have to go back to the 70s or something. It's not like the Vikings are littered with great playoff plays to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, Diggs would be number 1 on this list, I think, because it's a playoff game. But yeah, you might be.
Thielen catch and the Saints could be like
or the Rudolph
towards
catch
the
or
top.
something.
Yeah. Now we're to number 2. Regular season list is correct. December 14th, 1980, Metropolitan Stadium. Ahmad Rashad's 46-yard catch of a Hail Mary pass from Tommy Kramer in Week 15 against the Browns that clinched the NFC Central title. It's a catch that I was there for, so I'm biased towards it, but it's a catch that is still talked about. It's going to be celebrated at the Mall of America by Kramer and Company at some point this month. That is number 2 on my list because as far as memorable goes, people who weren't born that day still talk about that catch.
Yeah, so it's hard because there's a whole generation or two of Vikings fans that's 42 years ago now, and it just kind of gets forgotten. But imagine today if the Vikings would have won a game on Sunday at home.
Yeah.
Via a 46-yard Hail Mary, right? It would have been crazy. And we would have said, wow, we're going to talk about this for 40 years, which people are still. And hell, Tommy Kramer and Bud Grant are still doing gatherings on the anniversary of that play.
Yeah.
So it's definitely for that generation of fans. It kind of is the defining play of like late 70s, early 80s Vikings football.
Absolutely. That leaves us with one, and you can guess it. But I went through this last night and I was like, can I knock this off the top? What can I do? Is there any way I can knock this play from the top? Does Jefferson do it? Does the Rashad catch? And simply put, after going back and watching it and debating, I said no. September 27th, 2009, week 3 of the National Football League season. Dateline Minneapolis, place Metrodome, opponent San Francisco 49ers. Greg Lewis's 32-yard scoring pass from Brett Favre, which set the tone. The Vikings were 2-0, but that set the tone for what was an incredibly special year for the Vikings and Favre that won the game 27-24. And let me explain why I think it qualifies atop this list. Go back and watch it yourself. The degree of difficulty from everyone involved is off the charts. First of all, San Francisco got pressure. Favre, literally, for lack of a better term, it's because his hands were so big, rakes the ball. So he basically pumps the ball, but he doesn't throw it yet. Then, I forget who it was, but there is a 49ers defender who was very close to knocking the ball out of Favre's hands as he went to throw it. So now it's up in the air, and like literally the guy is back here. Favre doesn't just throw it, he gets off a missile. And Greg Lewis makes what remains, in my opinion, especially for a guy who really didn't have a career. He was okay. But he makes one of the most incredible catches on a heater from Favre, which, broke people's fingers in the back of the end zone and keeps his feet in bounds to make the catch.
Yeah.
I can't knock that from the top of my list.
The fact that it was also, it was effectively a buzzer beater, right? It was like the last play, and it was kind of a Hail Mary, but not really. Didn't they snap the ball from like the 38-yard line? I mean, it was not like a red zone play. They were a long ways from the red zone. But because they were, I guess, close enough for him to
32-yard
run a
line.
route. 32.
But he's way back by
he
then.
He threw it from like the 35 or the 38, and then he threw it into the back. So the ball traveled probably 40, 45 yards in the air.
Right.
Because of the 10-yard end zone. And so it was probably just close enough to where you could run actual routes in a play that wasn't a Hail Mary.
Yep.
But my God, just the perfect pass. You're right. He rolls out to the right, avoids the ball getting stripped out. You and I both covered that game. We were in the stadium for that. And that was the craziest month of sports I've been a part of. I wasn't really part of the 91 thing. But just like the Vikings
Packers
and Favre
game,
and Game 163 and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But that is still one of the 3 loudest stadium crowd noise pops I've ever heard. And I flew out of my seat just like, whoa, like, what did we just see? Did this? And fans were hugging strangers and stuff. It was nuts. So,
how he caught that ball, I still have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, it's a missile, and he catches it, he leaps, so he's high off the ground, catches it, comes down inbounds. Well, it is an incredible, improbable play.
So number 10, the Linval Joseph touchdown, followed by the gas mask. Moss versus Packers breakout on primetime television. Peterson stiff-arming all of the Browns in 2009. Moss Thanksgiving. Eric Gulliford in 1993. Chris Carter in 1991. The Moss lateral against the Broncos. The JJ catch from Sunday. The 1980 Miracle Hail Mary. And then Favre to Lewis. Most memorable regular season plays. So I don't know if these are omissions or if it's just these are up for discussion.
Absolutely.
I would consider Jared Allen chasing Dan Orlovsky out of the back of the end zone.
It's a good one,
on this list.
I like it.
I would consider even just like Peterson breaking the rushing record, the 5-yard run that broke the record or something. I would consider.
Yep, I definitely thought about that one too.
How about the Cordero? Didn't Cordero Patterson have a big return against the Ravens, like a game-winning return or something?
No, it was a screen pass, and he took it. So it was a snowy day in Baltimore. It's a screen pass that he catches behind the line of scrimmage, which I think was like the 22 of the Vikings, and takes it to the house in the snow in a game in which everybody else slipped and basically was ice skating. So it's an impressive play.
Yeah.
109-yard kick return, too. I think he has the record for the longest kick return.
Yeah, it's probably
Be
true.
up there.
Yep.
I think also...
Is there a Percy play? Is there a Percy
I
Harden?
went back and watched all of his touchdowns from 2009, and there's not.
Wow, that's deep research.
There's a person who has put together every touchdown he scored. So I went back and watched 2009 into 10, and there's not one. There is a long kickoff return for a touchdown. There's a couple of those. Pittsburgh is one in Pittsburgh that year, and there was a game in the Metrodome that he returned. I think it was the Niners game that we're talking about. I think he returned a kick for a touchdown.
I was going to say I could use a little more Dante on this list, but he did show up. Technically, he threw the pass that Moss lateraled, right? Yes. That was a Dante deep pass. So we did have a Dante cameo on this list.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's not a sexy play, but I mean, the play that led to the Moss Moon at Lambeau was an impressive throw from Dante where he rolls all the way to the right.
That was playoffs, though.
That was
right?
playoffs. That's right. Yep, that's playoffs.
Only regular season here.
Yeah.
Get your playoff stuff out of here. We can do the playoffs in the playoffs.
Pretty good list there, Judd. It's a pretty good list.
I'd like to know, though. I'd like to know because I'm sure I'm missing some.
Oh.
Well, I think if you want to go further back, which I know you kind of put a hard date on this list, but there's a Fran Tarkenton scramble that's on NFL Films where he literally runs like 60 yards around behind. And
I watched it.
Okay.
It's a
muddy field, if I remember correctly.
It is a stupid play. Like he's rolling, and then you're like, okay, he's going to stop and throw it. He rolls again.
He keeps going, yeah.
And then on the run, just launches it.
Yes. And then receivers are just like out of gas for the next 10 minutes. So there it is. Judd's pecking order here, continuing to celebrate the Justin Jefferson ridiculous catch. Over on Purple Daily, we ranked our top 10 teams in the NFL. You can find out where we think the Vikings rank after an Eagles loss on Monday Night Football and a Vikings win over the Buffalo Bills. And don't forget, too, on the Purple Daily podcast feed, we've got all sorts of spin-off shows, if you want to call them. The Declan with Realistic Randy. You can find that yesterday. Thor Nystrom and Jesse Pierce with the Before We Die podcast. And then tonight, Booney and I are going to sit down and record some trenches. So that should be out sometime tomorrow. And, Flagrant Howls, Judd's Hockey Show. It's been a fun November here, carried by the Vikings largely. And the Twins just put out another teaser photo of their jersey unveil from
They keep doing this, and things are leaking now.
I just bought, my nephew wanted a jersey. He turns let's see here, seven at the end of the month, and I got him a normal Twins one. I didn't wait for the new ones. I just decided I'm just going to get him a regular one. Well, it's also discounted too because they're trying to get rid of the old jerseys.
Okay, that's cheap. It's almost Christmas time. Can't you get the kid a new jersey?
Let's play a game real quick of diving into the comments of the latest Twins tweet here.
Yes,
okay?
I saw a few of these.
Okay, so the Twins tweeted a picture. It's just like a teaser picture of some what looks to be navy blue fabric with like a white and some red, there's some lettering and maybe like a number or something, and it says all caps soon.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, the first response is please make these good. The second response is sign Puig.
He's going to jail.
Yeah, he's going to be spent.
He's going to jail.
He's going to the penitentiary.
Yeah.
Noah chimes in, says, re-sign Correa or shut up, your choice. The fourth response is just a sarcastic, oh boy, gif. Tyler says, does it say Correa on the back? OC says, soon you are firing Rocco, right?
This is so...
Another person says, already seen them. I can confirm they are mad ugly. Here's another one that says, either give us Carlos Correa or tear down Target Field. The ball is in your court.
Can I also add to the comment
of
them announcing that Pink, the artist, who I love Pink. Pink's a great artist, but she's performing at Target Field next summer. They announced that this is happening.
Oh, my God.
So let's read the comments for this one.
Oh, no.
I read through the tweets. Pink is going to play shortstop and sing? Amazing! I only want to watch Carlos Correa play shortstop for the Twins. Fitting, since the Twins since the Twins are just like a pill, which is a good little pun on a Pink song. I will not be buying unless Carlos Correa is signed to a 10-year deal.
Wow.
I want to watch a healthy major league player, including Correa in August at Target Field. Please stop injuring your employees. Oh, God.
What?
I don't know what that one means.
Well, I think maybe they're referring to players as employees.
Yeah.
Oh, we
And-
have another new comment here on the jersey unveil. I'm sorry, does anyone care about getting new uniforms if you don't have a good team to put in them?
Not going to pink unless you sign Correa to a 10-year, $350 million contract.
Is there a more tone-deaf, oblivious Teflon
boy.
franchise than the Minnesota Twins?
They're just hoping to God
Hey,
that fans are like,
everybody.
these are great jerseys. So they're going to, it sounds like
TC!
There.
Underwater cam.
they are going to unveil, it sounds like there might be like 5 combinations of things too, because there's 5 players at the Mall of America thing.
You know what I want to see? 5 combinations of potential contracts you could offer Carlos Correa. That's what I want to see. Here's a 9-year deal.
How about
Here's an 8-year deal with a little more
How
average
about
annual
finding
value.
How about just finding pitching?
Yeah.
Is that too much?
Here's
to ask?
5 combinations of potential number 1 starters via trade or free agent signing.
How about
Swiss
spending-
Cheese says this
Scouting.
announcement is not the announcement we're hoping for during free agency. Can she play shortstop and pitch? Please. This is
Dude, they
great.
just like the Twins franchise is TC Bear. Whether you've lost 100 games or whether you've won 100 games or whether you've got 8 players on the injured list and fans are yelling at you, it's like every day it's, hey everybody, here we are.
Just standing outside
We're
Target
the
Field?
Twins.
Is he Barney?
You know what you guys are forgetting? You guys are not appreciating, because you don't follow the news as closely as I do, that Kyle Garlick has been re-signed, okay?
Yeah.
Kyle Garlick
they
is coming
tendered him a
back.
contract.
So you've got that
He's
outfielder.
actually a
that,
pretty good platoon hitter. I
Yeah.
you got
very
that
good left,
bonus.
yeah.
You got that bonus guy that can that can play. I mean, this is the start of something big. Kyle Garlick.
Yes, let's get it. LFG. Amazing. Okay, all right. Anyhow, it's a
That's
wrap
fine.
on
That's
Mackey.
Do,
and Mackey
do we
and
talk
Judd
enough
here today.
Twins?
Yeah, that was therapeutic.
Should we move
That was
on to Gopher
therapeutic.
football now?
No, let's just maybe stick with Vikings lists at this point. Write that down, predictions, and an accountability session tomorrow. And don't forget, you can get your Score North and Purple Daily gear, your Before I Die hoodies, your Victory Monday hoodies over at scorenorth.com/shop. See you tomorrow.